And there's not agreed definitions of what leadership even is, much less how to do it well. So we really leave our workers on their own to go try to piece it together, maybe observe what they like in other leaders, but don't really necessarily help them connect the dots. My first adult job was military service, 6 years in the U.S. Marine Corps. And I like to say that the Marines gave me two things on my first day of work that most civilian leadership programs don't. One was a shaved head. That part stuck with me. But the second was a book of leadership principles. From day one, leadership principles. Bang, we got to teach you leadership. And it wasn't until later in my life that I realized why that was. When you look for senior Marine Corps officers, for example, you can't just go put out a job ad on Indeed. You have to develop your people from within. So they took leadership very seriously. As I quickly found out, I feel like the leadership part is just so critically important. You got to benefit it firsthand, learning from leaders who are so effective at what they do. I became a leader myself over the preceding years, but it's not something that just happens on its own. You really do have to invest in your people to do it. So when I got out of the military service, then I went to a graduate school and learned all about business and computers. And I went to my first civilian job and I was ready to continue my leadership development. And they were like, what are you talking about? We don't do that here. You're on your own. I thought, oh man, that's unfortunate. This is a reflection of my leadership journey in the sense that I went through my military service. I studied leadership at the PhD level. And yet, even despite all that, I hit a wall in my leadership. I just fell out of love with the work I was doing. And it was foreign to me. I'm sitting here thinking like, why am I, there's like this super highway of success and I'm like on the service road. It was very frustrating to me to be like, what's happening here? So I started to realize that there's this need that we have to fulfill all of our basic interests when it comes to the work that we do. And so I'm mulling this over in my mind and I knew that I had to make a change. But at the same time, my father, he got a call from his oncologist and he had been diagnosed with having a tumor on his kidney, cancerous tumor. We know how this movie ends. And I started, for the first time, started to think about some of life's bigger questions, those big existential questions. And I thought to myself, man, I am not living well. Work was just the tip of the iceberg. I found that there was this Tibetan Buddhist meditation technique that's all about how you expand the circle of compassion by starting with yourself and moving out perhaps to loved ones, maybe a little further out to like your friends, maybe your coworkers, on out into all beings throughout the universe, if you can have such a level of compassion and skill. And I thought to myself, this is exactly how I've approached my leadership journey. I had to start by learning to lead myself before I could learn to lead others, leading entire teams and organizations. The core of the book I've written for leaders, what I say leaders at every level, from the time that I entered civilian life after the Marine Corps, even as an individual contributor, I regarded myself as a leader. I led myself and I led my projects. That was what I led. I've met so many great people through the program that I didn't realize went into a book. So by the time you talk about a structural editor, a revisions editor, a developmental editor before that, now you got layout editors, you've got all kinds of people, proofreaders. And you're like, oh my gosh, it takes a lot of people to create a good book and, what I hope to be a great book. So it's just been fabulous to have all those specialists playing a role in helping this thing be the best that it can be. It's absolutely humbling how much help you need to be able to pull this off. And I feel like I'm the better for it. I had considered myself to be a pretty good writer before, but I'm so much better having gone through this process and gone through this program. There's just a way to write and a way to get your ideas across and a way to structure a book. That was really pretty interesting for me. But I think also the same sort of challenges that sometimes we come in with, whether it be imposter syndrome or being an insecure overachiever or being racked with self-doubt, the sort of roller coaster that you go on and the fear that you have about people aren't going to like this idea, or to make yourself vulnerable by asking for help if you need support in some way. I feel like the journey of growth that I went through was that, to me, leadership shows up everywhere. It's just a fundamental human endeavor. It's all about collective people working together towards a common goal.